The Man in Maze tells that everyone is born at the center, and our goal in life is to find a way out of the maze. We get lost. We think we're going one way, but we're going the other direction. And there's tons of switchbacks to disorient us, but it's to normalize that life is sometimes confusing, yet you still need to continue and find your way. My name is D.A. Navoti. I am a member of the Gila River Indian community. I'm a descendant of Hopi, Zuni, Yavapai Apache, and O'odham tribes, Kimo O'odham specifically. I'm a multidisciplinary storyteller and writer, and a lot of my work focuses on what it means to be Indigenous in the 21st century. The earliest I can remember of writing is I had a journal. I was probably maybe 7 or 8 years old. First thing I wrote in my journal, my secret journal, were cuss words. And it was the naughtiest thing ever. I was like, ooh, I'm a bad kid. But it felt so exhilarating to write something down that I, quote, wasn't supposed to. My curiosity needed to be housed somewhere. I had all this information, and I was thinking about stories, and so from all the research and curiosities, I wanted to fashion this into storytelling, and then specifically into documenting the Indigenous experience. The other thing that is a taboo, so it's like I'm writing the cuss words in my journal again, so it's like that, ooh, I shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway, is writing about Indigenous sexuality, particularly my own. That is a huge taboo in my family for sure. I do want to bring a more of celebration when it comes to Indigenous sexuality, not being explicit, but just again to show intimacy between people and what it's like in our lives. So a lot of my writing will also reflect that, even though it does bring out that vulnerability. But again, I think there's a lot of magic and merit in that type of writing. Yeah, so the Radical Imagination Grant allowed me to deepen my involvement with the community. And so my dream was to teach 4 different types of classes for creatives, BIPOC and Indigenous folks: project management, writing for grant applications, marketing your work, and then offering a toolkit workshop for Native folks on becoming a writer. What does it take? And of course the pandemic happened and things had to shift and we had to go to a virtual space, but the grant, it gave me time and income to volunteer and do all that for the community. I also curated We the Indigenous. It's a reading series that supports artists and writers and pay the artists participating in it. The third thing was producing a video series to help artists through the pandemic, and that came out as 60-second interviews 6 feet apart. What the Radical Imagination Grant did for me is that it built my portfolio, helped me invest in the community more, and because of that, I got so many different creative opportunities handed to me. I didn't even have to ask. I got a lot of organizations and folks saying, hey, I'm doing this thing, we'll pay you to do so-and-so, are you interested? And I was able to do lots of curations. I got recognized through a Native organization for my community work through COVID. All of that just reminded me of, and looking back, it just reminded me of the work that I've done, and I've just been very thankful that I'm now a working artist and I can say that. Radical imagination means embracing discomfort, whether that is some discomfort that's happening in front of you or maybe it's within your head. And I go back to that quote, the best way out is always through. And so rather than walking around that discomfort, what happens if I just step into it and then make the discomfort uncomfortable because I'm approaching it and I'm in it and I'm going on the other side. And so for me, that's what radical imagination means, is that recognizing there's multitudes of discomfort we experience in our lives, and rather than running away, what if we tell ourselves, what happens if we approach it step by step, and let's bring a couple people with us for the ride. And so for me, that's what a radical imagination means. In every class that I teach or community event, I remind folks to lift others as you are climbing.